All right, class, I'm going to try and keep this brief and give you as much of the information as possible. We've had some internet problems today, so I don't know if we're going to go, you know, through class without any interruptions, but at least, I'll make a video for you so that you have all of the information. Also, in case you missed class. So for today's data and conclusion activity, today being February 10th, 2021. It's Wednesday, and there is the data 2.1c, are traits connected? And then there's the Google Slides right there next to it. And so you're going to find those materials. And now for the Google Slides, we're going to walk through and have the final third part of our discussion here, and then go into our data and making sense questions. So, do we all have the same kind of receptors on our tongues? And do you think things taste exactly the same to each of us? Well, I did a deep dive, and some of the things that I found while I researched this was that there's a scientific name for being able to taste. Taste is called gustatory perception or gustation, and your brain has a portion that is dedicated to taste called the gustatory cortex. Taste buds can identify five different tastes, as well as temperature, texture, the hotness or spicy sensation in food, and the coolness or the minty sensation in food. So your flavors are usually your ability to perceive them, and it's not so much that you enjoy them or don't like them. It's more of like your ability to taste them. Bitterness in things helped early humans avoid potentially poisonous plants, and sweetness in foods helped them identify energy-rich foods. So the amount and shape of the part of your tongue called the fungiform papillae or papillae is usually a determining part of this, and that would be a genetic trait. So it's both acquired and genetic. So I think that your ability to taste them is genetic, but then your preference of certain flavors um, will probably come with your experiences. The variations of tasting any of the tastes, especially bitterness, are going to be super tasters, medium tasters, and non tasters. But for the purpose of what we're talking about here, we're just going to go with tasters and non tasters. Non tasters doesn't mean that you can't taste it at all, it just means that you have a low perception. And also, when talking about bitterness, there are 30 different genes for bitterness perception, meaning that the trait of bitterness perception is a polygenic trait. That means it has many genes that contribute to your perception. Now, normally we would try Brussels sprouts in class, and we didn't, but I did ask you if you have had them. Do you like them? 38.1% said yes, 42.9% said no, and 19% said maybe. So if we rounded this up to the nearest 10, we'd have 40 would say yes, 40 would say no, and 19% or 20 would say maybe. And so that means that 20 could go either way. Do you think that whether or not you like Brussels sprouts is an inherited or acquired taste, and why? Is there any way you could try to figure that out? Well, uh, the amount 72% of you said that you think it's an acquired trait, and 20% of you say it's an inherited trait, and 8% feel like it's both. And the only way that we could do this in the classroom is if we all had a food that we'd never had tried before, and so we have the same experience. So we didn't have, like, some of us had Brussels sprouts growing up. But if we found a food that no one has tried before and we all tasted it together at the same time, we probably could identify if, like, tasting that food is something that is, and your preference of it is something that is acquired or inherited. But there is another way. And what that is a compound that was discovered by accident called phenolthiocarbamide, also known as PTC. And it has the unusual property that it either tastes very bitter or it is virtually tasteless, depending on the genetic makeup of the taster. Now, worldwide, there's about 70% of people that can taste this compound, and we're going to watch a couple of videos And the videos are going to tell us a little bit about being super tasty. I'm going to save that video first, the second one. I thought this would play first, but
this is just an ordinary strip of paper, coated in a chemical known as phenylthiocarbamide, or PTC. As an experiment, we're going to have different people around the office each lick a strip.
okay, so you're going to watch that video on your own in the as it's posted in the slides, and then you're going to watch this video of students reacting to tasting PTC on those little strips, and then you're going to know kind of what we would experience in the classroom, and then we could actually use that data. But we're going to use different data, so we're going to use that 70% worldwide figure. But also interesting to note is that depending on the location, those who are non-tasters, or the opposite of tasting, would be varying between as low as 16% up to as high as 37%. So that means bitterness perception can vary. So tasting PTC, I guess, would be 25, like a 23.35% in this Serbia. So not 23, 73%. No, 83% in Serbia, and then as low as what would be 42%, 42.8% in Slovenia. So 42 to 85, 84. It's between 42 and 84%. So there's a wide range of variation depending on your location. But it all boils down to it being an average of 70% worldwide. Now, what are the variations in these studies? Again, we're going to focus on whether you're a taster or non-taster of PTC, and also we're going to be comparing that to whether you have a preference or if you like Brussels sprouts or don't like Brussels sprouts. Again, it's not the same thing, so we're not comparing apples to oranges, but we do have some data that we can use to make a comparison, even though we have that variable of students, 19% that did not like or dislike them. So do you think that subjects learn to dislike the taste of PTC, and why? That would probably be a good question to answer, but it's not on our assignment today. So here's the class data. What I want you to do is take the pie chart, that one right there, round it up to the nearest 10%, and then fill in for this data. Likes Brussels sprouts, 40%. Dislikes Brussels sprouts, 40%. Taste PTC worldwide, 70%. And then our class data graph, put an X on the graph indicating the percentage for each type of taster. We'd put an X under 40 for likes Brussels sprouts, an X under 40 for dislikes Brussels sprouts, but then 70 for worldwide. And now we know that worldwide can vary between the 40% and up to 80%. So there is a wide variation throughout the world depending on your location. But we also know that in our class, we have a 20% variation because some students may like or dislike Brussels sprouts. So we could be in between 40 and 60. And then also we have the problem of that, a lot of us might have different experiences with Brussels sprouts. They could have been cooked wonderfully and taste delicious, and therefore you like the Brussels sprouts. Does not mean that you cannot perceive the bitterness of them. But at least we'll have some data, and we can kind of make some comparisons, make a prediction. And so what you're going to do for your filling out your form here is just make sure that you fill in all of the data on the data table and the graph. And then we're going to go to making sense questions. Now, our making sense questions ask, based on the data, do you think there is a connection between disliking Brussels sprouts and being able to taste PTC? And then explain your answer above, giving evidence from your data. So you're going to need to make an explanation for your thoughts and your ideas. And then you'll fill that out And then one thing I want to do in review, I just want to share. We all have taste buds. They all have receptor cells, but not all receptor cells are the same. We will usually associate flavors as being acceptable, and then when choice is presented, we'll add preference to the mix. When it comes to certain flavors, the bitterness that is experienced in certain substances is an unacceptable flavor. Your trait, like the flavors of vegetables, has liking the flavors of vegetables has something to do with your ability to taste that bitterness. The variations are tasting bitterness or non-tasting bitterness. So we really have like some variables here that we can flex, and we can be we kind of stretch our data to fit what we perceive as the connection between the two. So that's possible. That's a possibility, and I guess we will never really know for sure. But it is kind of interesting to note. And so, with that, we will wrap up this lesson 2.1 with this activity, and then for tomorrow, I want you to take a look at the missing work docs on the classwork tab. And this is an assignment that's not an assignment, but it is an assignment if you have missing work. And what we have here are several Google Docs. If you have any missing assignments that are one of these 4 Google Docs, or we have the video that kind of goes along with discussion 2.1 A and B, then I want you to do those. And then tomorrow in class, we are going to spend our time asynchronously working on these. And then also anyone who has not taken the mid-unit assessment, I'm going to have you take that during class. Tomorrow's the last opportunity to take that. And then we will be posting progress reports as soon as I get Infinite Campus updated. But absolutely, it will be updated by the well, it will be posted regardless of having all the information in Infinite Campus. That is all, and have a good day. We'll talk to you later.